Hello and welcome to the Hero Coaching Podcast with me, your host Mark Corner, empowering you to be the best possible version of yourself. Hello and welcome to another Hero Coaching Podcast with me, your host Mark Corner. I hope you're having a great day. Certainly very murky and wet, but that's the UK British weather for you. And I'm not here to give you a weather forecast because I'm not a meteorologist and I'm not a weatherman. I'm here to take you from where you want to go and how to get there. Does that make sense? Anyway. Today's topic is all about exercise. So why do we need to exercise? Well, that's probably hopefully some of the things myths we're going to be debunking or not necessarily. So what have we got for you? Well, certainly it's an important thing, and I think it's something a lot of us neglect these days. What with the way life is nowadays, it's all too often tempting to stay inside and in your nice warm house, especially at this time of the year, and sit on your computer or watch television or snuggle up with a book or something. But that doesn't mean to say you can't do exercise at home. But I seem to remember when I was younger, we used to go out in all weathers. Now, whether youngsters do that now so much nowadays, I don't really know, because I haven't got any children and I'm not really in touch with the youth of today. But I think really over the years there's definitely been a decline in people having physical activity. I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine quite some time ago, and we used to say that even though there were some, probably, I don't know, one or two overweight children in their classroom, I don't know whether that's the case now, but I don't think all of them are overweight, but we have definitely got an epidemic of obesity, and they're calling it globesity. It's a worldwide thing now. And here's some interesting facts about exercise that you probably may or may not know. Cavemen in their time would have walked or moved for 8 hours a day. 8 hours a day. How many of us actually walk for 8 hours a day, or stand up for 8 hours a day? How many of us these days are behind desks, doing, and we come home from our work from a desk, and then a typical day for somebody. I mean, this is just not stereotyping anybody in particular. They might, go outside the house, so there's some movement there, get in the car, go to work, sit down behind the desk, and then do the same process and come back. So there's not really much activity going on there. I mean, the way things are going for a lot of people, and this might not necessarily apply to anybody, I'm not putting anybody in a pigeonhole or anything, but as a nation, a worldwide thing, we're definitely becoming more sedentary in our lives, and it can have, there will be consequences for that. There was a study done involving, or not so much a study, but what they found is that when astronauts actually go into space, they actually physically age because of the effects of gravity on their bodies. Now, whether you know this, I don't know whether you know this or not, but when you are sitting down, you are actually, in fact, in half gravity. Not full gravity, but half gravity. So what that means is, the more you sit down, the faster you are aging your body. Yes, sounds incredible, but it's true. If you look on Google, you'll find articles talking about this very thing. And when I heard that, it certainly shifted my mindset, because now what I do is I try to move around as much as I can. I don't know whether you're like me, but I'm become a bit, not a fanatic, but I've got a Fitbit, and now I get up and I walk around. I've got it set so that I move. I think it's within an 11-hour period or 10-hour. I can't remember. It might be 10, but it's set so I'm moving every hour for 250 steps. So it's like I'm moving continuously, but I'm not. And I'll just get up and I'll walk around the house, walk around the garden. And what I aim for every hour, if I don't forget, I'm trying to be more aware about this, because that's one of the things about doing these sorts of things. You've got to be aware. We get so used to living from our ingrained habits, where we do sit down and we get comfortable, we get nice and warm, and we don't want to leave the environment that we're in. And, especially at this time of year in winter when it's cold, who wants to go outside? I don't particularly want to go outside, but I do it anyway. So every hour, I try and there's quarter of an hour in each part of an hour. Yeah, so I try and move 250 steps every 15 minutes. So that equates to 10 minutes. So by the time it's come to 5 o'clock, my 250 steps per hour starts at 7 o'clock in the morning. So by the time 5 o'clock's come around, I've theoretically done 10,000 steps. I don't always hit it, but that's what I aim for. So it's like, and if I look at my graph on my Fitbit, it's like I'm moving consistently, rather than, I'm trying to get, there's a portion on it. I know I'm going on about Fitbit, but this isn't an advertisement, Fitbit. There's a portion on it where you can actually see, how long you've been active and how long you've been inactive, and it's very interesting to me. So, carrying on swiftly, what they're saying now is that sitting is becoming the new smoking. So sitting around, for 2-3 hours at a time, is equivalent to smoking. So it is quite detrimental to your health. I read a really interesting article. I think it's on the New York Times website. I've got it open. I'll just read you an excerpt from it. It says, regular exercise may keep your body 30 years younger. I'll just read you an excerpt from it. The muscles of older men and women who have exercised for decades are indistinguishable in many ways from those of healthy 25-year-olds. From those of healthy 25-year-olds. The muscles of older men. Quick pause there. And women who have exercised for decades are indistinguishable, sorry, my teeth are playing up, in many ways from those of healthy 25-year-olds, according to an uplifting new study of a group of septuagenarians. If you look that up, it means people in between the 70s and 80s. These men and women also had much higher aerobic capacities than most people their age. The study showed making them biologically about 30 years younger than their chronicle ages, the study's author concluded. So there you are. There is some inconsistencies in the study, but to me that's fascinating. One of the things that really interests me about that is, really, apart from breaks in doing certain things, I've been sort of an active person all my life, and in a roundabout way. There has been patches, or should we say, times when I haven't been, but that's just been due to other things. So that's probably going to put me in good stead in hopefully years to come if I carry on doing what I'm doing now. Right. We are designed to move, and no question about it. That's why we've got legs. So, not moving is just not us. It's not good for us. The more you exercise, the better your willpower will become. That's another useful tip. And also, if you read up about something called, this isn't podcasting, isn't about heart rate variability, it's more about exercise, but heart rate variability is something that goes down as you get older. Children have more of it than adults do. That might be the reason why some people have issues with mental health, but that's another topic anyway. But that might not be the only reason. And apparently, one of the ways that you can actually make that flip back in is by doing resistance training. And I never knew this before, so that's another interesting thing. And basically, heart rate variability is where your brain wave, your heartbeat is more like a sine wave, rather than sort of all squiggles and stuff. If you look at the brain waves of, the heart rate variability of somebody who's got depression and stuff, it's like small amplitudes. So they've got very low heart rate variability, whereas somebody who's active and doing things like meditation and focusing on gratitude and stuff like that have high heart rate variability, and that is one of the benefits you can get from doing exercise, particularly resistance training. Why that is, I don't know, but that's and that can actually make you more resilient. So that's another useful tip. You get a really good buzz of endorphins from exercising, so that's going to sort of set you up for the day. You'll sleep better. And if you do yoga in particular, this will boost a feel-good endorphin in your brain called GABA. This is something I've been thinking about doing myself. I mean, I do 10 minutes of Qigong in the morning, and that does make me feel good. I don't know if it's the same sort of process, it might be. But they did a study based around GABA, and they found that people who they had two groups, one who did yoga and one who did walking. And interestingly enough, the group that did yoga came out better than the ones who did exercise. In other words, their levels of GABA, which is like the body's own, antidepressant, if you like, or feel-good chemical, along with dopamine and serotonin, was higher than those people who just did walking. And when you think about it, when you're doing yoga, I mean, a lot of the stuff is just like when you're standing there and breathing and moving your body. So I think that's something that I'm definitely going to have a look at, because I do Qigong at the moment, but I've been thinking about adding another ritual to my what do they call it? String to your bow. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up now. I do hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. I've certainly enjoyed doing it. So I'll see you again. I know there's been a bit of a gap, but things have just like gone in the way, and I don't know, let things slip for a bit. So see you again with another Hero Coaching podcast. And this is me, your host, Mark Corner, signing out, saying much love, happy, beautiful day, take care, and see you again soon. Bye now. Have a great day.